Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning into another episode of De-Education. In this episode, we have a very special guest joining us. Hi, Shamit. Welcome to De-Education.
Hi, Ravi. Thank you. Glad to be here. Yeah.
So, Shamit, how was your day so far?
It was busy, but I was happily busy, with my work today. I had a couple of meetings, and I was looking forward to this evening today. Yeah. So once again, thank you.
Thank you, Shamit. So, if you could give a brief about yourself to our viewers out there.
Okay, let me start with my, current profile. I'm currently the head of the department for design, art, and performance at the School of, Design, which is at Flame University, right? And I joined Flame about a year ago. I've been into the academia, the design education space for the last, 6 years. And prior to Flame, I was with ISDI, Parsons School of Design. And before that, I spent about 13 years in the industry. And a lot of my career revolved around, the business value of design, design strategy, business innovation, right? Um, I am a master's in design from CPDM, Center for Product Design and Manufacturing, IISc Bangalore. I graduated from there in the year 2007. And prior to that, I did my mechanical engineering. So, that's, in snapshot, how my journey looks like. So I did my engineering from Pune, and then, in fact, even before I went to the design school, I got to know about what design is. And I happened to work with a design studio even before I became a designer. So I used to, my first job was with Unio Design, and a small studio, earlier based out of in Pune. And then I went to the design school at IISc Bangalore. So what Onio did was Onio actually helped me, build design sensibilities, right? I understood, what the importance of even smaller details in design. I got very driven to do product design, being from mechanical background. And then I pursued my master's in design from IISc Bangalore. As I was saying, General Motors, Bajaj Electricals, I was largely playing a role of more of a product designer. Uh, One of the biggest inflection point in my career was when I joined Mahindra, and this was in the year 2010. Mahindra was trying to do something very interesting. They wanted to set up an innovation cell. Okay, and of course, the name sounded very interesting to me. Uh, my understanding of innovation, at that point was probably very less. I think the position and the title itself sounded very interesting to me, and I said yes. I should pursue this opportunity. Mahindra wanted to set up this team that can actually imagine what should Mahindra be doing, 5 years down the line. And they were building a team of interdisciplinary people, people from design, people from technology, people from business, people from, IT, and they were given a lot of free hand to apply innovation processes, design thinking methods to drive business innovation. And that is where I would say my uh, career took a very, I would say, unique and a different path. And I started liking more of research, trend mapping, business innovation strategy. And yeah, that's something I kind of started to specialize in. 2017, after 7 long years in Mahindra, and after some really two or three big projects in auto and farm sectors, I moved to Cummins. Cummins, for the audience here, Cummins is a company that makes big engines, right, which go into the trucks and buses. So Tata Motors, a lot of Tata Motors trucks and buses, they have Cummins engines. Um, so Cummins, I was part of their product planning team, looking at, how consumer insights can be brought in to drive innovation. By that time, I realized that um, corporate can also only allow me to, do this much, right? And I believe that there is a lot of things which I have learned over the past so many years, which I need to kind of uh, harness and put them into better use. And that is where academia happened to me in the year 2018. And I went on to join ISDI Parsons, which is now Atlas Skill Tech University, to lead their strategic design management program. Okay, and this was a program that they had just started, and not many people had an idea of what it is. And I found a great alignment between, the strategy piece, the innovation, business innovation piece that I learned over, last so many years. And I actually built this program from scratch with three of my first batch students. And that program, of course, did very well. And in 5 years, it grew to about 90 students. Um, while I was, while my academic journey was, while my academic journey started, um, a lot of people told me that now that you're into academia, and if you wish to continue in academia, go and get your PhD also done. PhD kar lo, kam aayega. And I was like, yeah, I mean, that's a great suggestion. But I first needed an answer to come from within, right? That do I really want to continue in education? And I took some time, and then there was a voice from within which said that yes, I was really enjoying my academic career. It was very fulfilling. It was great to see student success, and that's when the calling was that yes, I want to be in academia for the rest of my life, and therefore I should now do PhD. And I enrolled into a PhD program at IIT Delhi in 2020, the year, the COVID year. And so I'm right now completed 4 years as a part-time scholar, and hopefully, by the end of next year, I should be done with my PhD. And that's also something I'm enjoying quite a lot, and we'll probably talk about it as well. And last year I moved into Flame, as I mentioned. Sorry for a long intro, but I hope it helps.
Thank you so much, Shamit, for sharing the wonderful journey. So, wanted to understand what made you pursue PhD and what's the value that designers get when they pursue PhD.
So I think the first, I would say, force was about a lot of my peers, right? So I was new to academia, and I was understanding the academic ecosystem. And I realized, and also my peers said that if you wish to do, like I said, if you wish to continue in academia, you should get a PhD done. So it first came as a mandate that it's good to do and register fast, because I was also touching 40s very soon at that point of time, and earlier the better. But then I also spent some time understanding what PhD is. Initially I spoke to a lot of my professors before I enrolled to a program. I got some understanding, and I realized that see, fundamentally, PhD is about creating new knowledge, right? If you look at undergrad and postgrad education, we use existing theories and we apply those theories to, solve problems and do projects. But in PhD, what actually happens is you generate new theories, you create new knowledge. And because I had experienced so much of design strategy, innovation, being a product designer, I thought that this part of design, the awareness tends to be very low, right? And maybe there is a little bit of an apprehension that designers have when it comes to business and analytical thinking. Um, so I thought that's a great area, to explore. And if I do PhD and if I'm able to generate some knowledge which benefits the future designers, I should, pursue it. So that's how I think I started my PhD journey. And I think I would say almost every day of my PhD journey, has been full of learning. Right. I of course, I'm a part-time scholar, and I don't reside at IIT Delhi campus, but reading new literature, talking to professors, talking to peers, talking to a lot of peers here in Flame University, because Flame has a lot of PhD faculties, you learn a lot. Okay, so um, I would say I got interested in it because I had a genuine passion to create knowledge around design, innovation, strategy, right, and the impact that a design creates. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Shamit, for sharing that perspective. So, if somebody who is in there in industry currently wants to pursue a PhD, what would be your takeaways from your journey that they should have in their mind before even applying for a PhD?
Yeah, so I think, see, the first question to be asked here is why, right? Like, why would an industry person want to do a PhD, right? In my case, I think the why was that, I had moved into academia, right? That was my first thing. And if you have to kind of, also grow in an academic world, uh, PhD, it's an eligibility criteria in the beginning, but once you're a PhD and once you start, doing research and once you start publishing and once your research starts getting recognized, you kind of start building credentials there. So that was for me. Um, but however, there is one misconception that PhD is only if you want to build a career in academia, which I think is also not correct. Um, very recently attended the Design Up conference in Bangalore, and a lot of talk was around that with such a dynamic change happening in the industry, with new technologies, AI, customer experience, changing aspirations of the consumers, we can't just be dependent on the knowledge that is already existing, which means you need people who can actually fundamentally come up with these new theories, new frameworks, new ways of thinking, new ways of approaching a problem, new ways of finding opportunities for the business, right? So I believe that even in industry, I think some of the professionals should really consider PhD. One, because it benefits them as individuals, right? It's always a pride to have a doctor, have as a prefix in your name. But I think it also will help the organization, right? Because these people will be able to help figure out new approaches to stay competitive, to stay in a leadership position, and to kind of reach a I would say reach a much larger goal, right, as a business. So I believe that why is very important, and leadership also has to play a very critical role, right? So the leadership of the organization has to believe that yes, we need people who can create new knowledge. Otherwise, what happens? You're just going and exploring the same markets. You're doing probably what your competition is doing, and whatever you innovate, the life of that innovation may be very short because tomorrow maybe your competition may come up with the with similar offerings. So, I'm not saying that every industry professional should do a PhD, but a few should if they want to build a career in industry also. And if you're looking at academia, and I know a lot of people, a lot of my connects in industry are now getting interested in academia. In fact, yesterday only I was speaking to one of my seniors, and he started doing some visiting engagements, and now he's liking it, and he now wishes to pursue PhD. Um, and I'm happy to, if for all the audience who's hearing this, in case they wish to, know more about how to go about, enrolling for a PhD. How do you take a call whether should do a PhD or not? I'm very happy to help them out. In fact, this Sunday I'm also doing a webinar, for such people. But at any point of time, people can reach out to me, and I think this, of course, is a great forum. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Shamit, and we'll be adding the links in the description. So, folks, whoever is watching this video, please feel free to reach out to Shamit via LinkedIn and also attend his webinar. And so, if somebody wants to start, so where should they start in terms of gaining those skills and applying for exams? And what sort of exams, what sort of eligibility criteria is there to apply for a PhD in design?
Yeah. So I think, I think once you over barrier, the internal barrier that whether you want to do a PhD or not want to do a PhD, once there is a good yes, right? I think the next step is to look at what is the larger research area in which you want to do a PhD. Okay, so let's say someone wishes to do a PhD in someone is very keen on automobile industry. I'll take a neutral example. Someone is very keen to look at automotive industry or do something around automotive, and maybe they are very interested to look at sustainability in the automotive industry. Okay, so that's like a very large theme. Okay, the next thing which is required to do is to break it down, right? And if you break down, let's say, automotive sustainability in automotive, maybe you come up with something called as the end of life of a vehicle. What happens to vehicle after it's kind of lived its life? So maybe that is an area you want to focus on. What you need to do next is to figure out, okay, ideally, the best thing to do is to figure out who are the eminent professors, scholars, experts, academic experts who are working in this area already. They may or may not be in India, right, necessarily, but depending on what you wish to do. So if you're open to do your PhD abroad, you can keep the search a little more wider. But if you're let's say keen to do it in India, then your search is going to be more around Indian professors and scholars working in that area. Um, there is also an option to have a co-guide from universities abroad. Then you identify that right set of people. Okay, and then you actually build a communication channel with them, right, where you write a nice email saying that I'm so and so, this is my background, and I'm keen to pursue research, and would like to discuss about it, right? Most cases, professors are very keen to have good candidates, and they want they also want their research to kind of progress and scale, and they are looking for good people. So once you build that contact, you have some conversations, and those conversations will help you build a rapport, and some kind of rapport in terms of alignment. That yes, this professor, the way he thinks, his interest area or her interest area, and my interest area seem to be matching. Then you say that now because this professor is, let's say, in IIT Bombay, right, or let's say in IIM Mumbai, whatever. Then you apply. Then you apply, and all the websites of these universities have a lot of information on the application process. Application process varies from university to university, but just to give you uh, a walkthrough of one of the universities, let's say, so you fill up a form. Okay, you fill up a form, and then you get shortlisted. In some cases, they may call all the people who fill up the form to appear for a written test. Some departments have written tests, like engineering and sciences have a written test. In design, because there may not be as many number of applications, there may not be a written test. And then after the written test, you qualify that, then you appear for an interview, and in the interview, you are essentially asked questions around why do you want to pursue a PhD, what kind of broad areas you have in mind, right? They also will assess if you're a part-time scholar, if you want to pursue part-time, right? That means you don't want to commit, uh, the next 4 or 5 years completely, but you want to do your job and do a PhD. They will also ask, right, that how will you manage this? So questions like these, and uh, after that is done, then of course they declare the result, and then in some cases, if you've already spoken to the guide earlier, I mean the faculty earlier, you will work with this faculty. But in some cases, it may happen that you will be allotted a supervisor after the interview is done, right? And then you start talking, and so that is how the application process works. Um, I can talk more about what happens after that, but I'll take a pause here. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Shamit. Yeah, one more thing I wanted to ask, please. Did you also try to apply for PhD outside India? And if so, why did you choose to do it in India in IIT Delhi?
Yeah. Okay. So I think again, talking more about me here. So as I already mentioned, I decided to pursue PhD very late in my, I would say, in my life, right? And also given my liabilities, right? Family, and I think it was difficult for me to think about doing a PhD abroad. But I should also tell you there are two universities where I build I started to build connections. Okay, and I would want to give credentials to Professor Amresh Chakravarti from CPDM ISC Bangalore, who also happened to be my professor during my MDes. I spoke to him because IISc is one of the most, one of the best research institutions in the country and also abroad in globally. So Professor Chakravarti said that if you wish to do a PhD and in the area of at the intersection of design and business, uh, very few universities or hardly any university in India would have that expertise. You should actually apply to Stanford D School, the design school at Stanford, and you should write to Professor Larry Leifer, okay, a very senior professor. Um, I actually wrote to Professor Larry Leifer, thanks to Professor Chakravarti, and he was very. I mean, he actually replied to me, immediately after 2 days. So it was a nice reply saying that your profile is very interesting. We'll be glad to have you. Just that he's too old now, right? He said he's too old now. He also has hearing, kind of challenges, and he said that there could be scholarship challenges as well. So I was just trying to build that connection. I was happy to get that response itself. The second university I reached out, I mean, I connected with or I was exploring was Brunel University in UK, because they have another professor there called Professor Chloe, who works in the area of strategic management and strategic design. And I thought, again, I found this through my own homework and search. And I wrote to her. I actually did a Zoom call with her, and she was keen to have me. But again, the thing was minimum of 3 years of full-time commitment and staying in UK. And my son I mean, it was in the primary school at that age. So for those reasons, I didn't pursue it outside. And if it is about pursuing a PhD in India, you, of course, one of the most aspiration places you would want to do it, if you want to do it in technical or design field, is IITs. And if you want to do it in management, it's going to be IIM. So I actually applied to IITs, and I made it to Kanpur, IIT Kanpur and IIT Delhi, and I chose to go to IIT Delhi. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Shamit, for sharing your wonderful perspective on this. And folks, whosoever is also confused on choosing this, feel free to reach out to Shamit. He could help you even more in detail about this.
Yeah.
So, talking about it, Shamit, like before we conclude, wanted to understand how did PhD has shaped you as a person? This whole journey, how did it shape you as a person, not just only as a designer?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm very happy to talk about this. So again, let's go back to when I started, right? When I started because I was in academia, right? And but once I started, and so what happens in a PhD is in the first semester or first 2 semester, you end up doing coursework, and my professor said that, if you wish to do a PhD, and I haven't mentioned my PhD topic. My PhD topic is how do you actually make designers or design graduates entrepreneurial in their work. Okay. Um, they are going to learn creative skills, design skills, all of it. But how do they learn to become better at working with people from non-design background? How do they learn, to navigate their projects in the organization, decision making, etc. And my professor said that you should take up courses from management school, social sciences, humanities. So that was really nice because I was actually doing a course with social sciences. I was doing a course with the business school. So that learning, that choice that you have in a good institution to register for courses beyond, just your original domain, that was really nice. And how has PhD actually shaped me? I think it has actually made me a better thinker. Okay, it has actually made me a better explorer. Okay, it has actually made me even more curious. Okay, it has made me more educated about the field of design and entrepreneurship and strategy, and it has actually helped me uh, also articulate the right questions. Okay, because when you're doing your PhD, um, after you're done with your coursework, the next important milestone is to figure out the research questions, right? And that takes a lot of time because uh, before you decide what you want to do in your PhD, you should know that what has already happened in the field. And therefore, arriving at the research gaps, framing the research questions, right, is something which I think I have learned in this process. And I think the other thing is also the methodologies of research. See, I mean, when you go to a design school, you of course learn research tools and human-centered design methods. But PhD research is very, I would say, not very, but it's fundamentally different because it's about approaching a much larger research problem, right? So the methodologies there is more about inquiries and experiments and qualitative research, quantitative research. So that is something which I've learned, right? And all of this learning actually helps me become a better mentor and a better teacher, or a better educator, to my students, right? And lastly, I would also say that I actually was never so much into writing and reading, to be very honest. But now I enjoy reading. I also enjoy reading, serious, uh, research papers, because I have learned how to summarize those papers using design and visualization tools, right? That is something, in fact, we can do a separate talk on that at some point. And it has also made me better at comprehension and articulation and writing, because when you are doing your PhD and coming up with new findings, you also have to write and publish, right? So that others get benefited from your writing, right? So yeah, I think these have been better things, I would say. And coming back to the objective of today's talk, it has also, I would say, made me even more passionate about um, you know making other people more aware about PhD, right? Which I wouldn't have happened if I wouldn't have been through this journey. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Amit. So to conclude, if you could give us three favorite book recommendations or any podcast recommendations.
I think so. Again, given my area of work, one book which I really like, okay, is Playing to Win, okay, by Roger Martin. And this book is it's actually a book which is suggested reading for management and business schools. But I see a lot of synergy in the framework, okay, of Playing to Win, and in how designers should understand the business goals, the strategy, and their own work. Okay, so also Roger Martin, in fact, Rotman School of Business. He comes from Rotman School of Business and Illinois Institute of Technology. So I think they have really nice partnership. So Roger Martin understands design and innovation, right? So I think that is one of the books I would say. Of course, Tim Brown's book, Change by Design, which I think everyone has read. But I think, reading that book after having experienced strategy, innovation, and design is is completely is something else, as I would say. So I think these are two really good books. I am also very, I would say, I've also learned self-learned service design. Okay, and I've been teaching service design, over the last 5 years. In fact, out of the 6 publications that I have, research papers, about 4 of them are in service design. And Larry Payne's service design book is something which I like as well. Um, which is, I think, Designing the Invisible. Yeah, so that is, I think, the third book, because you mentioned, I thought I should talk about it. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Shamit, for sharing all this wonderful knowledge with us. And we are looking forward to have you again in future coming episodes. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, I think it was nice to be here. And like I said in between, I again will say that if there is anyone here who's interested to do PhD or thinking about transitioning from industry to academia, right, or let's say even feeling a little stuck in a PhD stage, a lot of people in their middle age who are probably considering a detour in their careers from industry. very happy to talk to them. You can also follow me on Medium. I've written a few articles on how do you build your career in a university. And yeah, so thank you, Ravi and team. And yeah, look forward for more interactions through this conversation. Thank you.